What's up, guys? It's Chris here to give my UFC 107 afterthoughts and thoughts on boxing fight from yesterday. Apologies for the delay on the vid. If anyone saw my boxing vid, I went out last night for a birthday party for myself and a friend, and it was just a really crazy, just really, really bizarre night. And I slept in really late, and I just barely got done watching all the fights. I mean, I watched UFC most of it last night, but I just barely got done watching all the boxing matches and whatnot. So. I'm just going to throw all the afterthoughts on this one vid. I'm going to start with UFC because that's what I watched first. First fight of the night, we had Paul Buentello, Stefan Struve. Man, what a good fight in spots. Struve gets a decision here. I know the crowd booed. Struve said he wasn't happy with it. I thought he won the first and third rounds. Second round, but definitely Buentello. But the times in the fight where those guys just kind of stood and traded made it really exciting, especially at the time when Stefan Struve in the second jumped in and just got caught with the punch midair and dropped. I thought it was over, but credit to Stefan Struve. He was able to weather the storm. Really entertaining fight, though, and I thought Struve deserved a decision. Next fight of the night, I believe, was Kenny Florian, Clay Guida. Good win for Kenny Florian. First round was kind of close, but in the second round, I believe it was, Kenny just got Clay Guida with a beautiful counter, dropped him, and threw on the rear naked choke and tapped out Clay. Good fight. Very good win for Kenny. He looked really good in there, really sharp. John Fitch, Mike Pierce. I believe that was next. Typical John Fitch fight. Kind of grinded out a win like I expected. Pierce was pretty competitive. Had a couple of nice moments here and there, but Fitch gets a, typical Fitch decision. Alan Belcher, Wilson Govea. Mir Congo. Frank Mir. With a good victory. Actually, the most surprising thing about this fight was he actually stunned and drop checked Congo with a punch, and then he threw on the guillotine and just completely choked him out unconscious. So it was interesting. I didn't expect him to drop check with a punch. That was probably the last thing anyone figured, but he did finish with the submission. Not really a surprise there. Good win for Frank, and who knows who he'll fight next, but there's a lot of big good fights out there for him in the UFC heavyweight division. Alan Belcher wasn't Govea. Fight didn't go long. Guys pretty much stood toe-to-toe, slugged it out. And in the end, Alan Belcher gets a stoppage victory. In a pretty exciting fight for only about 3 minutes or so. Main event, BJ Penn, Diego Sanchez. BJ Penn dominated Diego Sanchez. Dropped him with, I believe, a right hand in the first. Credit to Diego Sanchez for even being able to survive that onslaught. He showed a lot of heart being able to get up and make it through that round, let alone make it to the fifth round. Diego Sanchez, there was not one part in this entire fight where he ever was winning. BJ Penn dominated him from bell to bell. Ended up landing a head kick in the fifth round that just, was led to a nasty cut on Diego's forehead. Really deep, nasty gash. Fight was called off. Even if it had gone to a decision, it was obvious BJ was going to win unanimously. So, great, dominant, one-sided performance by the UFC lightweight champion BJ Penn. Not sure who's next. Possibly Gray Maynard if he beats Nate Diaz next month. Doesn't matter. I don't see anyone in the UFC lightweight division that's going to be giving BJ Penn any trouble anytime soon. And real quick, last fight they showed DeMarcus Johnson versus Edgar Garcia. Really exciting fight, back and forth. Garcia looked like he had it, but Johnson ended up getting the win with what did he win with? Triangle choke after stunning with the upkick. Reminded me of Ivan Salivary Joe Riggs from years ago. Good win for DeMarcus Johnson. A really exciting fight. Actually, I would have made that fight of the night, but I'm not Dana White. Unfortunately, I think. Anyways, moving on to the boxing. Vitaly Klitschko, Kevin Johnson. Vitaly wins unanimous decision. You saw this fight. I don't have to say a whole lot about it. Not too entertaining. I sent on someone else's channel, I believe the Boxing Historians video of this. Post-fight video. Like most recent heavyweight title fights, not the most entertaining fight. Kevin Johnson, I don't know what his game plan was, but it wasn't effective. He did make it all 12 rounds, but it was not a good fight. It was not an entertaining fight. Credit to Vitaly Klitschko for once again dominating another opponent. Not sure what's next for him. Hopefully we'll get David Haye sometime next year. At least it will have intrigue, depending on who knows how the fight's going to turn out, but at least it'll be an intriguing fight, building up to it, if nothing else. Victor Ortiz, Antonio Diaz. Victor Ortiz wins by TKO. Victor Ortiz looked pretty good, rebounded nicely from his loss, and, didn't show any doubts in this fight. Diaz, as I thought he would be, looked a little bit shop-worn, competitive, but just not in his prime, past his prime. One thing I'm worried about Victor Ortiz, he still can get caught with counters and exchanges. He swings really wide. Definitely something he's going to have to sharpen up on, because guys that are straighter punchers like an Amir Khan or like Maidana proved, maybe even a Timothy Bradley, maybe, we'll be able to exploit that. Victor gets a little wild sometimes with his punches, but a good win for Victor, a good bounce back. I don't know what's next for him. Possibly Amir Khan, that'd be a pretty damn exciting fight, Anyhow, Paulie Malignaggi gets a unanimous decision over Juan Diaz. Somewhat similar to the first fight, although Paulie was a little more, I think he won a little more clear-cut this time. It was still a close fight, but I think Paulie controlled the majority of the rounds. I had it 8-4. You could have argued 7-5, but I think that's probably the most rounds I would have gave Juan Diaz is 5. Paulie just, stuck and moved for the most part. Juan really couldn't catch up to him this time. When he did, he was able to do some pretty good body work, some pretty good flurries here and there, but just not nearly enough. Juan just looked a little bit slower, a little bit step behind. I think he's better served at lightweight than a junior welterweight. I think he's better at 135. I don't know what's next for either of these guys, but I'm just glad that we got what I think is a fair and clear-cut decision, and hopefully it'll put an end to this chapter of both these guys' career. Vic Darchinyan gets a second-round knockout over, I believe it was Thomas Rojas. Vic looked a little wild in there like usual, but ended up catching Rojas with a big left on the chin and just stopping him and knocking him out. Rojas couldn't even really attempt to get up. He looked like he was hurting really bad. Impressive win for Vic. Good bounce back after the Agbeko loss. Hopefully we'll get that Nonito Donaire rematch. In all honesty, from what briefly I saw in this fight with Vic and his last fight, I would still favor Donaire in the rematch, but it's still a fight I want to see regardless, because with Vic's power and his fighting style, you never know what's going to happen. Last fight, Timothy Bradley against Lamont Peterson. Timothy Bradley gets a unanimous decision. Really good fight. Early on, Timothy Bradley was just nailing Lamont Peterson and dropping him with that right hand. Timothy doesn't have the most power, but he was showing some serious power with that right. Catching Lamont clean. The first few rounds were pretty competitive. Lamont was just going to the body hard, really letting the shots loose, as Bradley was retaliating in return. Pretty close fight throughout the first few rounds, although Bradley had hurt Peterson on a couple of occasions and even dropped him once. But in the 6th round, if you watch that 6th round, Timothy Bradley just fought beautifully. I mean, that was a perfect round for a fighter. Moved around the ring, picked his opponent apart, and just seemed to turn the fight. The fight turned from the 6th round on for me. Timothy pretty much dominated every round thereafter, although I thought Lamont came on really strong, particularly in the 12th round. As did Juan Diaz. Juan Diaz in the fight against Malignaggi came on strong in the 11th and 12th round, especially with big left counter hooks. He should actually try to do more of that in the fight. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late for Juan Diaz. And for Lamont, it wasn't too little too late that he didn't try. Timothy Bradley just had an excellent game plan in the second half of that fight. Absolutely pulled away in the second half of the fight. Showed his championship guile, showed his experience, and just an impressive victory by Timothy Bradley. Really looked improved over his last couple of fights. Really looking forward to see what's next for him. 140 is a deep division. Timothy Bradley's a great champion. Not a great champion, but he's a really good champion. Can't say he's great yet, but he's good for the sport, in my opinion. Looking forward to see what's next for him. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm out. Be sure and check out the website, thewillbebloodfightshow.com. PartnersIStandandfight.com. My Twitter if you're interested. I'll put all the links in the information section as usual. Until then, though, I'm out. Bye.